With my buddy Alan Dershowitz, we just had a wonderful meal, and I want to ask him. I want to ask him a question.
Well, first, tell us what your opinion is.
Well, first of all, I'll tell you my opinion. My opinion has been, since the time the legislation was passed back in the 90s, that the American embassy should be in Jerusalem. But I want to ask Alan what his opinion is and what the implications of that would be.
So why don't you ask him directly?
Alan?
Well, I think the embassy of the United States should be in West Jerusalem, but I think it has to happen in stages. I think first the United States ought to announce that it rejects the Security Council resolution that implied that the Jewish quarter of Jerusalem and the Western Wall are not part of Israel. Second, I think the United States ought to negotiate with its allies, the Saudis, the Egyptians, the Jordanians, the Emirates, and get them to agree that putting the embassy in West Jerusalem doesn't pose any problems for Islam, and there's no reason why there should be any objection to it, because of course West Jerusalem is and has been the capital of Israel since 1948.
Mayor?
Sounds like a very rational, sensible approach to what is a difficult problem. Being impulsive, had I been president, I probably would have done it immediately without all the wisdom of Alan Dershowitz. But if I had been smart enough to call him, I would have followed exactly the program that he outlined.
So now a more important question. Yankees or Red Sox?
Yankees.
You know, when I found out that Rudy Giuliani was a kid from Brooklyn who rooted for the Yankees, I knew he'd end up being a prosecutor. Dodger fans became defense attorneys. Yankee fans became prosecutors.
Mr. Mayor?
I think they're still behind us by how many World Championships? Let's see, about 24?
To one. But that one, 1955, made my decade.
Can I see a piece, between the two?
Yeah,
of them?
we can make a piece.
We can make.
We can have.
Now that the Dodgers no longer.
Yeah, we can make peace.
Yes. So if a Red Sox and a Yankee fan can make peace,
Anybody,
The
look,
Israelis, the Palestinians.
maybe you and I should do the resolution. Now we'll tell them what to do.
That would be good.
Okay, thank you.
So first of all, before we discuss this baseball revelation that you guys made while you were over there, I'd like to hear, is there anything else that you'd like to say about the U.S. Embassy moving to Jerusalem, especially given Trump's recent comments about not wanting to move forward with that move immediately?
Well, I think ultimately the American embassy should be in West Jerusalem, and Jerusalem should be a united city. I think we need to talk to our allies. The United States needs to talk to the Saudis, the Emirates. An example of what happens when you don't talk and you just issue a program immediately was President Trump's ill-advised restriction on immigration, which was done too broadly and too quickly. I hope he's learned a lesson and will now, before he makes important decisions like the decision about moving the embassy, will coordinate with allies, with the State Department, with the Israeli government. In the end, I would hope that before long, the embassy could be located in West Jerusalem.
All right. Now, as a New Yorker myself, I have to admit that the mayor had the upper hand in that argument about baseball. But on a personal note, I think you guys revealed two very interesting things about yourself. First, you've been known as a huge Red Sox fan for 50 years. And I used to think it was because you were teaching at Harvard, but now I realize it's because you were rooting for the underdog all along. Second, you've been called the lawyer of last resort who loves defending seemingly lost causes. Is that perhaps rooted in your days growing up rooting for the Dodgers, who were also victims of the Yankees' success? And in other words, do you owe your astonishing career to your childhood love of baseball?
Well, of course, everything I am grows out of growing up in Brooklyn and being a Brooklyn Dodger fan. I went to high school 4 blocks from Ebbets Field. I recently was in touch with Carl Erskine, who was one of the great Brooklyn Dodger pitchers in the 1950s. It was a great thrill. I grew up a block away from where Sandy Koufax lived as an adolescent. So Brooklyn, the Brooklyn Dodgers were a very important part of my life and my career.